Greetings, dear friends, and today we continue the topic of love, beloved. The question we need to carefully consider is whether fidelity in a relationship can be seen as genuine love and commitment, or is this something truly big and truly great, or is it attachment, limitations, and restrictions and constraints? I want to go straight to the origins and the beginning, where everything comes from and what, as I see it, is the most important in a person, and where fidelity truly has, in my opinion, the most correct and significant moment. First and foremost, the primary relationship a person has is the relationship with themselves. Fidelity to oneself, which is an unwavering and steadfast principle, serves as an unbreakable constant in the journey of life. It is a true and proper manifestation of the very essence and core of the human soul, reflecting the innermost values and beliefs that define our existence. These relationships are extremely important. If fidelity is indeed actually broken here, it is very likely that this breach will project everywhere else. In other words, there can be no true relationship between a man and a woman if one of the partners has compromised their fidelity to themselves. What does it mean to compromise fidelity to oneself? So, there are indeed a large number of internal subpersonalities or aspects, and they actually exist in such a way that the one who says, "I will never again," is gone in a few seconds, and another one appears saying, "Oh, it's easy." That's all. So, no matter what a person tells you, it's still indeed important to look at the various aspects of how this person manifests in themselves. Naturally, any signs of self-destruction, alcohol, drugs, cigarettes, and other things, well, it goes without saying that these are all unhealthy things, that this is self-destruction. It's already clear that this is self-destruction. And continuing this list, there are certain types of connections to, let's say, negative system structures that are often overlooked and can be quite detrimental in the long run, and that can offer nothing but destruction if not properly managed or addressed. These are various different websites, different clubs, bars, and restaurants where a certain kind of crowd gathers, already having some entities, some of their own developments with a negative system, some negative channels, and other various negative things and more. And ultimately, large gatherings of people, stadiums, concerts, and other events, which a person also connects to these egregorial structures, are not interested in the person as an essence who grows and develops. Are you interested in learning about some kind of nourishing unit that can be effectively utilized for the common good, benefiting everyone involved? Someone definitely scored a goal or something like that. These are the fundamental things, so pay attention to where a person directs their attention, what exactly the person wants, where they are striving, and what their goals, tasks, priorities, and interests are. If these interests are shifted towards certain highly destructive, deeply self-destructive structures, yes, those specific egregorial ones, which can lead to significant and widespread negative consequences. Accordingly, we find that indeed it is true a person does not have or carry faithfulness to themselves, and naturally, they will not be able to project this same faithfulness any further. Of course, no matter what he says, no matter how much he swears, no matter how much he beats his chest and whatever else, even if physically this person does not have any violations, any outing somewhere, or real physical infidelities or something like that, the fact that there are violations in this inner fidelity to oneself will project onto everything else. The next two aspects are the unbreakable channels of the relationship between father and mother. So, it's simple. If you see that a person has bad relationships with their relatives, specifically with their mother and father, it will always reflect in their relationships as a couple, and also in their relationships with a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's how the psyche works. These are just simply programs, and there's actually no need to say that parents are bad or that they are to blame. A person who has comprehension, indeed, no matter how bad the parents or the situation, always internally projects gratitude, acceptance, and calmness about it, truly. And this is a fidelity that is unbreakable in any way. Ultimately, if a person is engaged in self-development, they have some channel or connection to a higher self, to their own strengths, or to some external forces in some form. Here it is very important, I will let you in on a little secret. For hierarchical systems, it does not matter whether the system is positive or negative. What matters is fidelity. If you start to flounder, you join one structure, take 2 steps. Oh, this isn't right. I'll go to another. Oh, that's not it either. I'll go to a third. And so a person starts bouncing between these systems. Most likely, in this incarnation, there won't be any significant, meaningful growth. Well, you're growing towards the light, so you no longer have the thought that there's more power over there, or on the other side, there are opportunities to manipulate and, oh, what am I? It's all the same as I understand it with the negative system. If a person tries to escape from a negative system, and there, please translate me, it is also a certain sign or situation in any case. Most likely, growth and development, even if translated, will strongly affect what are called romantic relationships, fidelity, and so on, in various ways, in different aspects, in many areas, and in numerous ways. Friends, if you are adults with a lot of life experience and understanding, always remember to prepare yourself mentally and internally. Come to terms with the fact that most likely this wonderful time will pass. Acknowledge and accept this reality to maintain emotional stability and resilience in the face of life's inevitable changes. And that's absolutely normal. There's completely nothing wrong with it. It's like day and night. The sun has indeed come out, and it is certainly shining, but it is not a fact that it will definitely shine forever. Tomorrow clouds might perhaps cover it, and then of course night falls and indeed something else. That is the nature of things, and it is something that we must all come to understand and accept. If you have reached the level where you see your own fidelity to yourself, to your basic guidelines, to your path, and to your work, I am confident that you will be able to find a life partner who will also faithfully follow their own goals and aspirations alongside you, sharing in your journey and supporting each other through life's challenges. I believe that the fundamental aspect here is the overall direction, the continuous movement towards personal and professional self-development. If people move together, if there is a common goal, a common idea, common interests and aspirations and shared values and mutual respect, it can all really last quite a long time. If people have different priorities and goals from the start, expecting this union to last a long time, no, indeed, anything can happen. I'm not arguing. There are all sorts of things in this world. But from the point of view of statistics and mathematics, one person is interested in one thing, another in something else. For some time they were. At the initial time, during the period when the illusions and perceptions of your own ideas and thoughts about another person are projected onto them, and you strongly believe and are convinced that he is like that, that she is like that. Over time, especially as you get closer, immersing yourself fully in the daily life and constant communication, getting more and more accustomed to each other, you start to see the real reality more clearly. You begin to see that your image, your idea of a person is your idea, and the person is different, with their own unique ideas, values, and unique interests. And the discrepancy between your expectations and ideas about reality often makes a person experience negative aspects. When what you hope for doesn't match reality, it leads to feelings of disappointment or frustration. It's one thing if a person is self-aware, understanding, accepting, forgiving, letting go, process themselves, transform, and work through this moment. It's another thing if a person kind of clearly with my own too. Yeah, like this is definitely right. This is absolutely incorrect. This is certainly good. This is not good. Yeah, I won't put up with this. That's all. And I'm not saying there's anything good or bad about it. It just is. People are like that, truly indeed, in various ways. Yes, we all get enchanted and disenchanted. This is the nature of the human psyche, an attempt to find a kindred soul, an attempt to find something of immense value, something that truly resonates with you, something that truly gives you the profound feelings of love, joy, a sense of belonging, and deep connection, a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Resonance of energies, the feeling of bliss, and the experience of joy are all interconnected and create a harmonious state of being. Of course, as long as you stay silent or engage in some pleasant activities together, well, everything is great. As soon as some verbal communication actually begins, some deeper interaction on mental levels, you start to realize that somewhere the person doesn't understand you, somewhere the person doesn't appreciate you or appreciates you differently than you thought. And all of this, considering various factors and influences, can already significantly impact what is referred to as the original basic fidelity. This term means the unaltered and true-to-source quality of the content. But then people are different. There are indeed people who like being in codependent relationships, who for some reason enjoy being dominated, being slightly pressured, being told what they can and cannot do, what is right and what is wrong. Such a person, who is deeply introspective and self-aware, might be inclined to maintain some abstract fidelity while being at odds with themselves. Because a fully developed personality, a person with a capital P, who has truly understood themselves and is constantly striving to understand their own motivations and desires, will not tolerate any limitations and is in a perpetual state of self-discovery and self-improvement. Accordingly, if you do not meet another person's expectations, which can vary greatly and be quite demanding, the idea of creating an image for them that says, "I will be just the way you want," is an absurd and unrealistic idea, lacking any practical sense or feasibility. A person still indeed subconsciously perceives your true motives, true desires, true values, and actually true messages, And no matter how you hide them, if a person has some truth for themselves, they won't deceive themselves. They will say, "I feel this, that, and this doesn't match the picture you are projecting to me." This means that they will always be aware of their true feelings and will not be able to ignore them. Life and the reality of life remain undeniably, unquestionably, indeed, pragmatically harsh and simple. Everything that an ordinary person likes is often not needed because it kind of lowers them. Everything that a more or less developed person needs does not quite correspond precisely with social plans and relationships as such. In other words, this is already a different layer and a different level, generally speaking. Therefore, for the most part, most people, of course, do not in general combine aspects such as work and relationships in their lives. So all of this is definitely considered. You always need to separate because work is always one thing and relationships are another. If you have work and relationships separately, what kind of loyalty can you talk about? You have different goals and life priorities. You only see each other at home in the evening. There you have your own work, and your partner has their own work. You part ways. You don't know what the other person is doing all day. They could be doing anything. And your belief that a person maintains fidelity is truly awesome and absolutely incredible. Yes, but look at the reality of how, in fact, a person actually deceives themselves. If a person deceives themselves, which they do constantly and without fail, then why on earth wouldn't they indeed deceive you? If a person tells, "I won't do it," but then does it anyway, or says, "At 5 a.m. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. and exercise," but at 5 a.m. turns off the alarm, rolls over, and goes back to sleep, well, you know. And then, in the context of fidelity, what exactly do you consider to be betrayal? So, I was subscribed to my friend? and he posted a poll, like, asking people to write what betrayal means to them, and then he shared what people wrote. So yes, we also need to understand, like, what exactly is considered cheating. So, what exactly do you consider cheating? Or rather, what do you consider fidelity, right? Where is the line where fidelity stops being fidelity, right? So it is absolutely necessary to perform the sexual act, like, directly. So yes, with genitals or what, or just a glance, an emotional exchange is already enough to say what it was. That is, to what extent do people realize and understand what a connection is, what a deep connection is, what an energetic connection is, mental, emotional? Because there are things, yes, like the tantric exchange of energy, yes, it is a very deep phenomenon indeed, truly. At the same time, there is no sexual connection as such. People are just close, they enjoy being near each other, and they feel an exchange of energy. Energy is changing, a large amount of bioenergy is being exchanged between people. Sometimes it can be really much deeper than sex, and this kind of betrayal, it disrupts the energetic connection in a couple significantly much more than a real sexual connection. And then there is the mental and profoundly complex nature of the sexual connection, moreover. Honestly, I don't know if you actually liked the person, right? And you kind of got emotional and teary-eyed, it played out too. So what is that? Are you actually going to read this out somewhere or not? Because in fact, thought and emotion are really, truly primary. Attention, meaning where your attention is concentrated, such as where you gaze, you receive that information and you think about it, for example. You think about it, the emotion goes there, and this emotional state pulls the action, meaning you actually act on it later. In other words, where you look and what actually interests you, the next step will be in that direction. Well, everyone kind of remembers those moments when, I don't know, an absolutely stunning and beautiful girl walks by, and men turn their heads to look at her. Their significant other, walking next to them, then slaps them on the cheek. Where are you looking? What interests you over there? The woman suddenly realizes that the attention has already shifted from her to somewhere else. A person has thrust the spear of attention into another, and consequently, behind this attention will be a thought, behind it an emotion, and behind it an action. In other words, the person has indeed already directed the sail and rudder of their ship in a completely different direction, undoubtedly. In fact, thought itself is a mental action. That is, the body of the mind is very agile. Here we need to wrap ourselves comfortably in a lotus position, sit down gently and slowly perform some asanas, and mindfully. They require time. You have to get up and do something. The mind is very agile. We thought and the mind acted. In the mind's eye, you have already played through all these images. You are already and again, you can immediately feel emotionally whether these pictures received approval from the other side, whether there is a response from the other side, like, yes, 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 this is all great, let's level up, yes, let's go. And that's how it happens. And if some entities are involved, connected, then a person can automatically perform love spells and other things. There are such girls, she walked in and that's it. All the men, like, their tongues hanging out, snot running, and absolutely everything, that's the nature of things. Some people have these built-in functions, and it doesn't always depend on whether they are beautiful or not. Sometimes it's just that this function exists and it works. I think that talking about any kind of fidelity in a couple is not even quite serious at all. What kind of fidelity can there really be in a relationship? Honestly, in my opinion. Maybe somewhere out there are some unique people, maybe you are one of them, and everything goes your way, just as you envisioned. But from what I see, and mathematics says, Everything is more prosaic, pragmatic. Everything is such that a person does not have a clear connection with themselves. 98% of people do not have clear relationships with themselves, with Mother Earth, with the Heavenly Father, and naturally with their physical mother and physical father. They cannot come to an agreement. These disruptions indeed project further in everything, in work, in affairs, in relationships. That is, these basic aspects show the true attitude of a person towards these flows. If there are violations there, these violations will be transmitted further everywhere. Because this pattern is carried further in some parts, in various ways and contexts, into all other relationships and contexts. Therefore, you need to start with yourself, as always, right? And enter into a relationship with yourself in such a way that you have clear confidence, fidelity, and a very clear intention. Clear confidence means being sure of your abilities and decisions. Fidelity here refers to being loyal to your own values and principles. A very clear intention means having a well-defined purpose and direction in life. Forming this relationship means you don't end up later thinking, oh, so you have definitely made the decision about who you are and where you are going, and this is no longer up for discussion. It is absolutely given, an axiom that is simply not subject to consideration. That is how it is, and that's it. When a person reaches this point, it is the formation of a certain crystallization. That is, after some time, usually 3 to 3.5 years, this structure, let's say, crystallizes. If this structure is indeed correct, meaning it is flexible, it can disassemble and reassemble, it is genuine, bright, beautiful, a proper structure that is pleasing to God. This is indeed a great blessing. It is truly the absolutely miraculous birth of a new demigod, the true birth of some divine soul, some absolutely great miracle. That is indeed, there is growth and development, and various abilities are being revealed. A person begins to see in relation to the structure of the spirit that they have created and developed within themselves. That is, through their intention, their inner work, their spiritual labor and efforts and dedication and commitment. If this is not indeed present, and in 98% of people, if it is actually present, it is an incorrect crystallization, essentially meaning into a generally negative system. That is already subject to analysis, restructuring, and other related things, etc. Accordingly, to expect some degree of fidelity. Fidelity to what? To whom? If there is no initial basic connection with oneself, if a person does not truly believe in themselves. But who will believe him? Therefore, friends, I say, meditate with us, attend our retreats and classes, go through our alignments, take courses, and engage and participate in. Engage, grow, develop, and nurture your soul in your life, and enhance and perfect yourself in your journey, light and love.